kid with my own TV show. Woo! Every go dance to shake it like that. You doing good in school, work it like that. You love Romeo, holla back, cause Nickelodeon's where I'm at. Okay. Hey, roll, watch it flow. It's time for the Romeo show. Holla Romeo's on now, Romeo's on now. Stop what you doing, cause Romeo's on now. Hey, roll, watch it flow. It's time for the Romeo show. Holla Romeo's on now, Romeo's on now. Stop what you doing, cause Romeo's on now.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Contemporary Comrades. Adam's here on the mic with the glorious intro. I know you guys love them. You got to have them, so I'm here to deliver them. Hold on. Let me stop this bitch. Okay. All right. So, time to introduce people. That's kind of what we do here. We got a special guest for you guys tonight, but at this point, he's pretty much a regular. We got our boy Clint back. What's good, bro?
Hey, it's great to be back. Can't wait to spread some knowledge.
He's our honorary fourth member, so at this time, Clint's pretty much just the fourth corner to the square here. As always, we got our tried and trues. We got Jay Venny. What's good, bro?
What up? Heavy J, Big J. You know how I do.
J,
you know who I be.
All the J's.
Ready for another one.
Last but not least, we got aggressive Corn the heel. What's going on, bro?
Oh, nothing much, man. Just shitty ass fucking internet.
His internet's pretty bad tonight. It's pretty bad tonight, folks. So forgive him.
The dude wireless.
It's not his fault. We're going to do our best here. We've got a good bit of stuff for y'all tonight. I mean, I know you can't believe we got topics, but we managed to get a few. We managed to pull a few out of the recesses of the dark pits. So yeah, we're going to talk about comic stuff tonight, comic book knowledge, my forte, my tried and true, the blood beneath my skin. We're going into that shit. We're going to talk about race swapping, sex swapping, all that good stuff. What I think of it, what the guys think of it in the media, how it pertains to comic book knowledge, how it pertains to fan bases, and we're also going to cover fan bases in general, what we feel hardcore and softcore fan bases, you know, how they pertain to what a media really means in the grand scope, like what you feel watching something, what you feel reading something. We're going to get into it. We're also going to talk about toxic fans, because that's a thing. And afterwards, we're gonna go completely off topic and get into some more stuff about women again, as we always do at some point.
Oh my gosh!
So we'll save that for the end. All right. So me and Corn are gonna lead this one. We're gonna talk about race swapping first and some examples. So Corn, I wanted to hear your case on this before I start my rebuttal. So go ahead and start us up.
You want to hear my case?
I want to hear your case. Yes.
Okay.
So can somebody just like lay out what the whole race swapping like? Can you give an example of it and shit like that?
What the point of it is, or
you might not have even thought of this.
The race swapping shit is when you have a character that is already pertained or has already been accepted as what it is, and you just swap their race for no reason. Like you put in for diversity's sake, honestly. And the media does this more than ever before nowadays, just because they want to include everybody, which I do understand. But what I don't appreciate is when you change characters that already exist, because you could easily, effortlessly just introduce new characters of color. It's not hard. That is fine. Create more. I hate when they change established characters. No, I'll leave it at that for now. Corn or whoever.
Now I have the unusual answer to that as with being that you can still have diversity and still not push that agenda. Having that diversity and changing the roles, or race swapping, as we say, that doesn't really affect the story of whatever they're trying to tell.
That's true. It doesn't affect the story.
Go ahead.
We're being civil. All right. Yes. So you're right. That doesn't affect the story. What it does is draw me out, because especially if the character has already been introduced as a way. Take a book you read, an original comic book, or how they're already introduced. If you've seen them already, if their introduction was something already, if straight off the page, if straight out of the comics, what have you, if they've already been introduced as one way, this is their creation, this is how they look, and they just decide to change them for the sake of changing them. I just don't appreciate that, because there's enough people on this planet. Who put you on this planet? That they can cast someone true to their character. It's pointless, and so many, and just so many mediums do this, and I feel like they're only doing it to stir the pot. That's my opinion. I feel like they're doing it to get backlash, which also draws publicity.
I agree a little bit.
All
I
right.
agree in the part of that, yes, media does it. And ever since day one of Contemporary Comrades, we've gotten on here and we've gone after the media that has been pushing all these different agendas down our throats, including race agendas down our throats. However, we're talking about movies.
Okay.
And we're talking about film that where at the end of the day, if you're gonna give me a black Batman, I don't care.
But would you
Because
be?
You're still telling the story of Bruce Wayne. Like, we're still getting the story. That's what makes it a movie, because it's not exactly like the comics. That's why I love what Disney did with MCU in terms of like story-wise, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy. Story-wise, great. You don't have to go after every single thing from the comic book movies.
And again, dude, I'm fine with
race.
I'm fine with the story being good. Like, obviously, that's what we all are there for at the end of the day. I just don't like when they like here's an example where it doesn't matter. You cast in an alien where they have no race, where they're like blue or green or some shit. Then it doesn't matter. That character can't exist. I don't like when they go out of their way to just change a character. Like you just said, a black Batman. What would be the point? Like, aren't there enough white actors out there to cast the correct role for how he was introduced? And the same goes for any race character. Before anybody starts
triggered
crying foul of Adam being racist, because I'm sure that's coming. Yes, because okay, think of the most Black Panther, or Blade, somebody like that. What if they cast a white guy as him, or he, or they? They would go nuts. They would go nuts. Changing a character for the sake of it is stupid. You don't need to do it. Introduce someone new. Here is a good one. The Green Lanterns. There are several of them. The most famous ones are white and black. Hal Jordan is the main one, the first one. You've got some other ones here and there. You got Guy Gardner. He's white too, but nobody really cares about him. Sorry if I offend the 5 Guy Gardner fans listening to Contemporary Comrades tonight, but I don't think there's even one in our audience. Then you got Jon Stewart, the one that I grew up with, not the Daily Show host, the Black Green Lantern. Watched him in the Justice League show. I think most of us did. It's one point. I don't know if you guys ever watched that cartoon. Yeah, you watched the cartoon.
Yeah,
you did too.
Yeah.
That's the one we remember, because that's when we were growing up. So I always thought Green Lantern was black. But it turns out he's a different character, a different Green Lantern. They didn't change Hal Jordan. They didn't change the character. They gave us a different character. That's awesome. I fully support that. And that was my favorite Green Lantern. Because even after watching some other movies and shows and reading about them, that was the Green Lantern that I thought was the best. The one that happened to be black. Because they introduced a unique character. But go on.
Yeah, but you're still not explaining this. Like, you're talking about comics, how they changed it in the comics. They can't make a new character for every comic book. Like, they can't make. All right, they did Miles Morales with Spider-Man.
There you go. Yeah,
whatever.
They totally can, dude.
But
I do have a question for y'all though. When y'all are once you're finished, Warren. Once you're finished,
all right, yeah,
I don't want to cut off his train of thought.
But are movies supposed to wait for them to come out with the comic book character of a different race? So are the movies, if somebody wants to make Hispanic Batman, I use Batman because Batman is my favorite character, obviously.
He's my favorite too, yeah.
If somebody wants to come out with Hispanic Batman, are they going to need to make a comic book of Hispanic Batman first? No. if I'm a director or a writer of a movie and I have the script and I want it to be a Hispanic Batman, I can make a Hispanic Batman. I just have to go to Warner Brothers and say, hey, pitch this idea for Batman.
It's just, there's no point to it. But to be honest with you, the characters that you're talking about, like Miles Morales, female Thor, they do wait until those characters are established. Because now we have movies where the animated Spider movie starring Miles Morales, I hear he's going to be in the next live action Spider-Man movie too, because they got to push him everywhere they go for some reason. Jane Foster becoming Thor for no reason. They had to put that in the books first before they get it on screen, because that way they can cry, we are being true to the source material because, yeah, we've got the female Thor. Now you can't say we're sexist or pushing an agenda when they totally are. Feminizing a masculine character is extremely agenda pushing. Race swapping for the sake of race swapping just to do it. Because that's what they've been doing. They want to push this, the newfound, regular, which is changing shit. Like, we've talked about this for years. Corn, I remember talking to you personally about this, and we both agreed at one point. Go ahead.
So, do you know why Wonder Woman got pushed, or got, what's the word? Instead of pushed back, it was actually like sped up. The process was sped up to make Wonder Woman.
I don't.
It was because of this whole feminism era. However, wasn't the movie amazing?
Yes.
It was.
Okay, so that rests my case in terms of gender.
I will interject something, though, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
One thing that I greatly appreciated about Wonder Woman is they didn't have any male bashing in it, like these new ones.
Yes.
And that's all I want to say about that, because I really don't want to disrupt what y'all are saying. And I got questions. But anyway,
we need the flavor in here, Clint. That's why you're here. You're the guest.
Yeah,
Feel free.
That's all I wanted to interject.
Which Clint actually helped me in what I just said.
Okay.
That statement he just made about how they didn't push the whole male bashing and all that shit in the movie, that continues to help my case.
What is your case?
That you're wrong in terms of
that I'm wrong. That's fair.
It's like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. That's what I've been telling you all this time. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal.
That's a totally different subject. That I'm wrong about what the entire topic. Dude, all we did was cover the feminism part. That they didn't bash males in Wonder Woman. Great. That's a step in the right direction.
And I've got stuff for that.
What I said before that was that the process of them making that movie was because of the feminism shit. Was so that, strong woman, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Trying to shove it down our throats. But the movie was a great movie, right?
It was, but they kept Wonder Woman pretty true to form. I mean, she looks like Wonder Woman, does she not?
Yeah.
She kept her very true to form.
What I'm saying is that the reason for them coming out with the movie at that time is because of, let's shove the whole, strong female character, all that bullshit down everyone's throat.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, he's saying it's because of the same reasons that the gender swapping is a thing, is why they made the movie.
And I do respect that one example, because as well as the actress, Gal, whatever, however you say her last name, she's like been in interviews where you got these the feminist type interviewers like, oh, women power, right? And she's like, no, it's not about that. And I'm like, I really appreciate that, because you got these parasites out there just trying to stir the pot, trying to bring in just the worst of the worst. And I always appreciate when an actor goes against that. But we also had, to bring in a recent example, The Witcher show, because I really want to talk about this. Henry Cavill was being interviewed and was being questioned about the toxic fan base by this, this simp reporter or journalist who's like, asked him some shit like that, toxic fan base. And he's like, no, they're the real fans. I'm also a fan. So they're mad at changing the source material, which we did for the show, or that they're not including the game lore, because the games are considered a sequel series to the books that are almost considered not canon because the author only recently admitted that he enjoyed them. But that's another story that's off case. Yeah, he pretty much defended the fans for being true fans. there's nothing toxic about being mad at people changing what has already been established, as well as those books introducing the characters looking a certain way. The author wrote, Corin, you watched Witcher just as I did. The author described Yennefer as being pale with black hair. Well, they cast her as a character, as Indian or whatever that. She did a great job as the actress, but she isn't the character. I mean, and she did their best. I'm not saying these people are not doing their best. Like the acting's out of this world. It's great. But I'm saying when you change a character, they did the same thing with Triss. They casted her like out of character. When the games did their best to take the characters right out of the pages to continue the story as they were written. But then they just get on the show and just race swap so many people. About the only character that's correct is Geralt, because Henry Cavill made sure that he wanted the character to be true to the character because he looks like Geralt from the books and the games. Like he's a diehard fan, so he made sure he knocked it out of the park. And when you know it, he's the best part of the show. So it matters. It matters when you have fans who want the source material to be correct, rather than you just want somebody who wants a role, who wants a paycheck, and they don't care about race swapping, sex swapping, or sexual orientation swapping, what have you.
Are you still being told the same story?
Am I still?
Whether she's
they're all
pale or whether she's like, aren't you being told the same story that they're eventually going to meet?
Sure, Corn, but when you change something for the sake of changing it, it takes you out of it. Especially when they've already established the characters looking this way, talking this way, and they start changing things for the sake of it. Like, I don't understand why anyone would be happy about them just changing their favorite character to look and act differently. It's just pandering. Like, that's my opinion, of course, but I feel like it's just pandering for the sake of we need more diversity, so let's change a character instead of just, how about we introduce a character that is diverse?
Can I ask my two questions now?
Yes, go right ahead, bro. Please. I don't want to be doing all the talk.
And just a brief statement, like, I'm a very average DC guy and MCU in regards to just understanding it and going into it. Yeah. And as an average movie goer, and for one that loves movies, I love going to go see a picture show. Yeah. I use the old terminology. I love it so much.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, dude.
Anyhow, two questions for you all, because I'm sure, obviously you're going to definitely have this. So for female Thor and Captain Marvel, two separate questions that I know y'all can both knock out for me. How long has female Thor been in the comics? And then for Captain Marvel, I heard on the radio how Captain Marvel has been in the comics a man, and Captain Marvel in the comics has also been a female. And historically from the comics, how much more has Captain Marvel been a man or woman? And then I'll finish my point once y'all answer these questions.
I'm gonna start this off by telling you I'm not a diehard fan on Captain Marvel or female Thor. Female Thor was introduced, so I can't answer all these questions for it, but I'll do my best. Female Thor was introduced in the 2010s, so it's been about
really new. And original new. Thor has been around for how long?
For decades.
Well,
Thor has existed in Norse mythology for how many hundreds years?
The comics.
And then they brought him into the Marvel universe.
That was like the 70s, I believe.
60s or 70s. 60s or 70s, yeah.
Okay. And
now for Captain Marvel, he was introduced as a man.
Yeah, because I don't know too much about Captain Marvel, but didn't you say it was Marvel was the man, right? It was Marvel, and then it was Captain Marvel.
Then it became Carol Danvers, but she started off as Miss Marvel, the original Miss Marvel, where she actually dressed like a woman. The fun fact: when Miss Marvel was Miss Marvel, and then she was called Warbird for a while, she actually dressed in sexy outfits and was one of the quote unquote sexy superheroines. And that it's just baffling how much they've truly changed that character to being able to wear skimpy attire to now being just this force for feminism. Just cannot show skin, cannot have long hair anymore, cannot be attractive, cannot have curves. It's crazy how they've just twisted that character to the absolute other end of the spectrum.
Yes. And then this just really real quick for myself in this regard. Yeah. My point is I do believe inequality, and I understand that. But anytime an industry has to one up another gender and go out of their way to make it so blatantly obvious, it becomes incredibly uncomfortable. And I know I may be a slim majority, but when I watched Captain Marvel, I couldn't even enjoy it. For one, it was an awful storyline. For someone that watches movies all the time, I already knew the storyline of what was going to happen, that the people she was with were the bad guys from the very beginning. I snuffed it out. I could find it out. Yeah. And then the overt attacks on masculinity.
Look, everywhere, dude. Men are treated like a joke.
Right.
Like,
and that's my point. Is like, that's not necessary. I'm actually coming to the movies, just like going to watch the NFL, to escape politics, because I love politics. I do like to escape it, and just go into Fantasyland and enjoy a good picture show.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore, man.
No, and now PC culture, just being politically correct, overcompensating. I couldn't even enjoy Captain Marvel. I lost my money and time on that.
Literally,
and then female Thor. If I don't know if that's necessarily too necessary. I know Hollywood is really hurting for new ideas right now. They're struggling with that.
See, there you go. There's my point.
And that's something across the board that most people agree on. And a lot of movies that come out anymore are straight up garbage. And this isn't even cartoons anymore. I'll give you your second point.
They're struggling for ideas, so they want to change it. Finish, Clint.
That's really all I want to say. And like, apart from the cartoon movies and the superhero movies, like, I used to go see these. I mean, they make it to the theater, but they're not the most blockbuster hits. But I would go watch them because sometimes they're good. Well, a lot of them have just been straight crap. And the storylines are straight crap. So I don't even go to see the movies anymore because they're not producing anything that's like intellectually stimulating or really entertaining.
Dude, it's all brain dead shit. They're just repeating stuff.
That's what I'm going to say.
Say as much as you want to.
There have been two really big female comic book superhero or superheroine movies. So one was Wonder Woman, and the other was Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give it to you guys. Captain Marvel was just a shit movie. Now, Brie Larson didn't help that with the way she was acting outside of and on the press run and her whole rollout for Captain Marvel.
She's racist to her own.
God, no. Ugh.
But that was a shit movie, and I'll give you all that. But there's still Wonder Woman where it wasn't doing that, where it was a great time to have a female, it maybe not in the movie per se, but there's so many women out there that looked at Wonder Woman as being the first, really big, like, I'm a woman. It's great to be a woman type shit.
Yeah. Sure. And I have no qualms with what you just said.
And Captain Marvel was just that on steroids, but it was just way worse storyline.
Well, and the one thing I will say about that though is for Wonder Woman, she was 100% authentically herself, and she fit the role perfectly, which was not offensive. For one, they didn't do any overt attacks, but when you think of Wonder Woman, you always knew that she was like in the Amazon or Amazon woman, or what is that?
Yeah, Amazon.
Yeah. And that they were all very strong women. And you knew that from the time you were little, learning about Wonder Woman. And she always had her role. And so there was nothing that was overt, excuse me. And she fit the role. And it was like a phenomenal storyline. I loved it. And if they produce more movies, although I don't know how many female character movies could come out, if they could do it.
Bro.
Well, good. Well, I just haven't seen many myself.
Apparently they're all in the works. So what I was going to say.
Oh yeah, go on.
Sorry. What I was going to say was they're finally doing Black Widow, but they really shot themselves in the ass for this one. They could have had Black Widow out there years ago. There's really no excuse for it to be 2017 until we finally had a female superhero movie that was widely received as good, because they had Black Widow in there in 2008 back there in Iron Man 2. Well, I'm sorry, 2009 or 10 when Iron Man 2 came out, and she was there for all those years and never had a movie until now, which is set in the past. It's like, what are you guys doing? You could have beat Wonder Woman to the punch, but no, Marvel decided to fuck around and wait forever, and then decide that no, we gotta have Captain Marvel be our flagship female hero to make the first one on the big screen. That's just ridiculous.
Captain Marvel made more money than Wonder Woman, by the way. Also,
why?
That's my case. Also, just like this, that's part of the reason why I'm saying all of this is that the race swapping does not matter. The only thing that matters at the end of the day is the box office. These are stories. Like
we're talking about women. That's not the race swapping. They were both casted the way they look.
Yeah, that's not race swapping.
That's a different argument entirely, bro.
This is gender.
The women being women. No. The women being women is fine. They look like they're casted. Like, I mean, Gal Gadot's not like white, but she looks like Wonder Woman. She looks like the character. Who cares? If the character looks like the character, great. But if they are blatantly different for no reason, it's stupid. That's what I'm saying. Nothing to do with the women. Like,
just change it to the race swapping, Corn. Give us those movies, because right now we're talking about gender.
We're talking about the women-led movies right here, not the race swapping.
Yeah, go to the race. That's fine, Corn. Go to the race. All
right. So question. All right. So where did we end up on the gender thing then? It's just we're going back to the race.
Oh, no,
where did we end up?
Fine.
Yeah, we're talking about all of it, Corn. This right here was about the female-led movies. So whatever, we honestly came to an agreement on this one. If you want to get back to the race and okay,
yeah, go to the race. That's fine.
I got one. Corn's fine with the race swapping. Give me some examples of the race swapping that you liked. I want to actually hear these.
Yeah, that way we got something to go off of.
There's some that I didn't care for. I mean, I just don't care about the race swapping. It's not like I'm like, hooray. I'm just like, I don't care. And I've always told you that. Like, it's okay to go see a movie where there's an Asian Luke Skywalker. Like, who cares?
All right. Look, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I hate all this shit. Like, I'll never even see it because I honestly have seen everything. All these movies.
But the reason why we made this a topic is because every fucking time something comes out, you continue to say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, they race swapped. Oh my God, they race swapped. Oh, it's a woman this time. Oh my, like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're doing all at the end of the day, they're worried about box office. They're not worried about whether you're gender swapping or race swapping. Whatever gender they want to push, they're gonna try and fucking push. You're either gonna fucking watch it because of the story and not care about the gender, and maybe it won't get to you.
Dude, no. Do you think this is an accident?
It's not.
Do you think it's an accident that they just happen to cast a different race character for this character that is white or something else? Do you think that's an accident? Because no, it isn't. They do it on purpose. They literally want to stir the pot. They want to piss off the people who are the fans of the characters the way they're introduced. They do it on purpose, bro. All the time.
If anything to say, Jaron?
If I may interject.
Yeah, go ahead, Jaron.
You guys are getting, I mean, it's a good debate, right? This is a real good debate. But
yeah, please join us.
The thing is, you guys have forgotten that movies and media are an arm of the government. They are an arm of the agenda pushers. Mm-hmm. So what are they going to do but push the agenda in the big popular movies that everybody wants to see?
Yeah, exactly.
So clearly they're going to swap the race. They're going to swap the gender. They're going to piece people like you off who've seen something the same way for it's all of creation, and then it switches over.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of these I mean, not to tie it in, but that's why a lot of these, like, you know, hardworking blue collar people around here blindly supported Trump, because he was quote unquote trying to take things back to the way that they were, because everything had been so screwed up. Now, has it happened? No. Has that worked? No. But I'm just saying it's the same effect. Like, you're resistant to this new proposed change, and it just so happens to be playing out in movies now,
and shows and all
and shows and everything else. Where Corn's basically saying, yeah, shocker, that's what's going to happen anyway, because they're going to make money off of it.
Exactly, they're going to make money off it, and money also comes from publicity, and publicity can also be bad. So what I was trying to say is that the bad publicity is what's selling a lot of these tickets because a lot of these people are mad. A lot of these fans are mad that you're changing this character that was introduced this way.
Are they still going to see the movie? Or are they still going to buy a ticket?
They're still going to see the movie.
How mad are they, really? How mad are they, really?
Because
you said yourself.
They're going there to bitch about it and write their negative reviews and stir up more of the pot. Dude, this cycle continues. They want the bad publicity to make more money off of articles that they write about being mad, which will get clicks from other mad fans. It's all a cycle. It's going to make money.
So why don't you, as a mad fan, not go to the movie? Not support it. If you really feel that hard, that's
a lot of times I don't. A lot of times for movies I don't go. But if it's fucking
in Adam's defense, he doesn't go see a lot of movies that he should go see.
I don't.
But
right.
And in terms of these movies, if you go back in time and whether they've gender swapped or race swapped or whatever, the movie still turned out great. You still went to go see the movie. How many movies are there now? How many that are pretty much opening up your eyes in terms of how the government works? Open up your eyes in terms of real shit. There's a lot of that, right? So
sure.
It's not some things you can't control. Some things, you're just going to be exposed to. When you're focused on, they made this person, if I focus on that in every movie I ever watched, where they race swapped someone from the original movie, or from the original comic or book or whatever, then I would miss the entire message of the whole movie. And there'd be quite a few lessons I haven't learned along the way in my life.
Right.
That's just a personal experience to me.
That's a fair point.
Oh, bro, dude, I don't just focus on this shit once I'm into the story, once I'm into the main event. It's just leading up to that. Once I'm watching something, I will.
When about Witcher, what did you say? What was the first thing you said when I talked to you about Witcher? You said, "Oh my God,
I said,
oh God, they made this or that and blah blah blah."
They did change her.
You were so mad that they race up, that you thought they race up another chick, and I had to prove to you that she was white.
She isn't she doesn't look like Triss though. But look, that being said, yes, they race off those characters. A lot of them, in fact.
Hey, that's weird. I think that's a majority thing right there, where it's like, she looks exactly how she looks and from the video game or from the book.
Maybe not look, but they also changed the way a lot of these characters behave too. So on
maybe
top of
the lighting on your computer was down.
What?
Maybe the lighting on your TV was down.
Talking about Jared?
No, it's a joke.
Oh,
misrepresented the color.
Yeah, I missed it. That was good.
That's some real shit.
Not only that. Let me talk about Jennifer.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make y'all laugh. I just came in my head.
No, we need some comic relief here. But no, fucking Jennifer, I was mad at because she also is young as shit. Where she's supposed to be the same age as Geralt. They're supposed to look like they're in their 30s. She looks like she's barely 21, because she is our age. And the character not only looks too young for him, doesn't look anything like Jennifer's. That's two things. Her acting's fine. It's great even. But what I don't like is when you're so disconnected from the character, the way you've already seen them, because the game represented Jennifer perfect, straight out of the book. And it's once you already see a better version of that same character exist, going backwards just doesn't make sense. You're not going to like it as much. Now that's one example. If you've never been exposed to one character, come on, man. When you've never been exposed to a character, I can really hear you.
You're saying that.
So you're saying that?
So you're saying that race swapping now is a step backwards. Is what you're saying.
If you're changing the character for no good reason, then yeah, I say that. If their acting's good, fine, whatever, great. That's fine. Because honestly, if you get your roles for your acting chops, then good. But a lot of these people don't. A lot of the casting people just want to stir the pot, so they'll deliberately cast a character out of focus, out of what they're supposed to be, to piss people off because they know it's gonna stir the pot. It's gonna get more people invested because what's going on? Like me, for instance, I'll literally put myself on the fucking slab and take the whips for this. Literally, people will fucking pay more attention to something they hate than something they like in cases. Look at the fucking Sonic movie. people were tearing that shit apart because he looked like a freaking rat corpse, and everybody was mad at that. So they changed it to make the fans happy, and now he looks good. But I bet you that movie wouldn't have sold near as much money tickets if they hadn't changed it. But that's one example, okay? And it still would have sold because people were mad. But the fact that they actually listened to the fans, now it's going to sell twice as much. I'm going to see it now, and I wasn't going to before because they changed it to make the fans happy. That's something I care about personally. Because they went out of their way to appease a fan base, I will gladly see that movie now. But I probably wasn't going to see it if he looked like shit before.
So
I would have been like,
devil's advocate.
Yes,
could you say that the race swapping and the gender swapping is to make a specific fan base happy?
Maybe.
Because nowadays a lot of people want to see that shit.
Oh yeah.
Like I see that as the same exact thing the reason that you're going to see that Sonic movie is the same reason why those people are going to go see Captain Marvel because of
Captain Marvel's a bad example.
Well, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
I don't know why somebody would literally want you to change the character the way that they've been shown for years. Why not just bring in a new character?
What fucking Brie Larson said, right? Didn't she say she wanted less white men and shit? And like people say that all the time.
I know she said that stupid ass shit, but like that's not the point. The point is that they're changing shit just to piss people off, and that does what I've already repeated this.
But what I'm saying is that they might, but the same people who are getting pissed off is the same people who are happy because of it. They're just appealing to them and not you because you're pissed off. It's like they can use whatever. That's the thing about being polarizing and having polarizing topics and putting this polarizing shit out for people to see. Because there's going to be half the people who hate it and half the people who love it, but they're both going to give it attention and energy. Yeah, and they're both going to invest in it. So they win either fucking way.
Exactly. We wouldn't even have this argument if this stuff wasn't going on. If they just kept stuff true to form, the way it's from the comics, from the books, from whatever it's from, straight onto the big screen, honestly, there wouldn't even be an argument because everybody would accept that. And that's one thing I don't like. I don't like there needed to be an argument or a fight here.
I'll give you
this topic here. Let me finish that. This topic here wouldn't exist if they didn't feel the need to just blatantly change shit for no reason. Because there is no excuse. There is no excuse to just change an established character when you could just make a new one. But go ahead, Glenn.
Go on, Jerry.
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't. At the end of the day, they don't care. I mean, I'm not siding with Korn. I actually kind of like what you're saying, but I'm just saying they don't care about the character when it comes to what they're pushing in these movies and shit.
Yeah,
like they don't care. It's all about what can how can we further this agenda in every aspect of life?
How can we further the agenda? And the best way to do that is to change something that isn't that's not how it is. So let's change it. Let's fuck it up.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Let's fuck this up so people get pissed, and therefore publicity stirs. There you go.
Well, I'll tell you what really grinds my gears.
Yeah. All right.
Spider-Man.
What about it?
And it's not Spider-Man the character or the people that have played Spider-Man. It's how many different times they've done Spider-Man.
Oh, that's it.
And that's it. Maybe that's not a big point, but my point is like you fall in love with a series and you want to see it till its end, but how many different, like since 2000 or whatever, like there's been like 3 or 4 different renditions of the Spider-Man series. I'm just like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And they can't seem to finish certain ones. And it just gets upset. And now they don't have that character anymore for Superman. And I thought he would be a really good character for Superman.
Yeah, that's the guy who played Geralt. Henry Cavill is doing.
But I really don't have any major point that goes along with what we're saying. I'm just saying, like, I think it's inevitable that you're going to have the gender and race swapping for instances like Superman is because everybody wants a slice of the pie. Well, not Superman, but Spider-Man, because everybody wants a slice of the pie. Everyone wants to do it a little bit differently. Everyone's going to have a different take. And at the end of the day, like I see both of y'all's points and y'all both have good truths.
I do
and
too. Yeah,
and then at the end of the day, what we're debating is highly circumstantial based upon the individual.
Here's a question.
Sure.
Here's a question. We know these characters are going to sell because they've been around for decades, for centuries almost, for a century almost. Yeah. What is the problem with just introducing a new character who is black, who is Asian, who is Indian, who is a woman, What's the problem? What's the
Become under
problem
a
with
lot
that?
of scrutiny.
Would they?
I have a question. I have a question to
Well,
not to necessarily, but hold on.
answer this first.
Is-
What's the
no,
problem?
I have a direct question to you, Adam. Before I
Okay,
forget,
well, answer my question
because
first.
he just said something about Spider-Man. So
Dude, answer my question before you
MJ
change topics.
Hold on.
MJ being black,
Relax. Just
MJ being black, right?
Yeah.
But yet Spider-Man still made over $1 billion. And who actually went to go see the movie to go see MJ? Everyone went to go see Spider-Man and Mysterio. Let's be real.
MJ's still not correct. They still didn't cast a redhead when they just should have.
Well,
It's just pointless, bro.
What I'm saying is she's not correct, and nobody cared. That's what I'm saying.
Care. No, people care, bro.
So much.
People do
They
care.
cared at first in the first movie, and then in this one, nobody cares.
Because now they can't do anything about it. Now it's already been a now it's old news. It's old news. Who gives a
About
shit?
it. So when season 2 comes from The Witcher, you won't really care about Yennefer still not being white.
I
That's
still
it.
accept the character. I mean, no, dude, because the character still just doesn't feel the same like it should to me. That's one example. I accept the show for being what it is because you can't change it now. It is what it is. But I don't I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, I'm better now. No, the show is still not as good as the books and games that represented these characters, so I don't like it as much. I think it's fine, but I don't love it because the characters don't feel as good as they have already been established in a different media, which is the games. And what I was getting back to, Corn, was the question: if they introduced new characters, a new black character, a new Indian character, a new Hispanic character, what's the problem? Why can't we just enjoy that? Why can't we just have that?
They're doing that in the movies.
Say it again.
They're doing that in the movies.
Okay. Well,
They introduce own characters in the movies. They don't need to go to comics to introduce a character. They can introduce them in the movie theater.
That's fine. Yeah. Action movies. Yeah. But I was talking about comic book based stuff or fiction based stuff that's popular that I'm interested in. But you don't ever see original superheroes. That's honestly why I wanted to make comics myself, because that you don't see it much anymore. Those who are doing it are low key. It's more indie. It's more like undercover. It's not big and pushed and like all over the place. Say again?
You don't see what? You're saying you don't see it. See what?
You don't see original characters really doing much anymore as far as being sold to the mainstream media. Because of them becoming mainstream, you don't see new characters really doing that anymore. It's usually something that's been around for a while. What I'm saying is that if you had an original character break out, like somebody who wasn't a black Spider-Man or a female Thor, original character, it's not a change of an established one, okay? Not changing this character as something else. If you had an original new character break out in their movie, if they happen to be a different race, a different sex, whatever, what's the problem with that? I think that if that happened more often, I'd be all good. Because I love new characters of any race, of any sexual orientation, of any gender, whatever. If it's somebody new who's awesome, who's doing cool shit, fuck yeah, I'm down with that. But I don't like it when they just change someone who has already existed the way they've existed for decades.
I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. These characters are never going to go away. There's always going to be a different rendition. There's always going to be a different race, and then they're going to go to gender, if not before a race nowadays. All this other bullshit. They're going to continue to push all these fucking agendas with these characters because it's the same thing that's happening in WWE. WWE.
There we go.
Every fucking week, Raw's at 2 million, right? Maybe they might be at 2 million nowadays. Whenever the Undertaker or The Rock shows up or John Cena shows up, the big three, one of them three show up, their ratings are going to go to like 6 million.
Right.
It's the same thing with the movies. It's the same reason why they're saying if Vince McMahon could create a Hispanic John Cena and a black Undertaker, he would. But that's what these movies are doing. And who's faulting them?
Because they're the most popular characters.
I enjoy stories because if you really think about it, it may not be an original superhero, but it's an original character of that superhero, if that makes sense.
And it's popular. Yeah.
It's also something which you would think someone like you would fucking appreciate. Original story.
Great. Yeah, I'm always down with that. But I don't like when they just change a character for no fucking reason, dude. That's what I've been saying this whole time.
Okay.
And those are the most popular characters.
Guys, we need to look to change the subject here soon.
No,
It's
we're-
8 and 40
No,
minutes.
we're not.
Y'all motherfuckers have to agree to disagree or something.
Hold on.
Y'all come to a conclusion.
Well, I was trying to agree.
It's
with you.
still heated, y'all. Y'all are still going.
That's
like,
the point of this.
punch
I was trying to agree with you in the fact that the most popular characters are the ones that are going to sell the most, which is why they race swap and sex swap. That's the whole consensus here. That's why they, let me finish. That's why they changed the characters they're already changing, because they want to sell the most tickets, the most money as possible that can be made is coming from the most popular characters. That's why I was actually asking you guys why the newer characters don't sell as well, and nobody answered. The reason, I'll answer my own question then. The reason they don't sell as well is because nobody cares about new characters. Verbatim, nobody cares about what they don't know already, so that's what doesn't sell. That's why you don't see as many original characters in the movies or in shows or breakout stars. What?
That's what we've been saying.
Nobody answered. Okay, sure. But that's it then. We know the popular ones sell. That's why they stir the pot, change everybody. I've said stir the pot about 1,000,000 times. But that's why they change everyone. They do it because of the money. They do it because of the publicity. They will continue to do it. I'm not saying they're going to stop. And I'm also not saying I'm not going to enjoy some of these stories, because I will. I'm just saying I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate changing a character for no reason other than to like upset the masses. That's it.
Okay, so we created this topic. We had this topic, and not just this topic. Like, never mind the podcast, but this has been an issue of yours for
It's not an
this
issue
long.
of mine. It's a lot of people, not just me.
And yeah, but it's just every single time. So basically what you're just saying is that it's an issue of yours. Like, it's just something I have a problem with, and you can't get past it.
It's an issue of a lot of people's, dude. It's not just me personally. It's, having
But
a
you
stick in
didn't
the
do a podcast, so that's why I'm asking you.
Say it again.
Never mind.
No, just say that again. What'd you say?
No, I'm saying, like, it's an issue of yours, but it's been an issue of yours for this long, right?
Yeah, it's always going to be an issue of mine. They're not going to stop.
To the conclusion that you're never going to get past this.
Why should I? Why should real fans who appreciate stuff the way they were introduced to it as kids, as teenagers, the way they grew up seeing it, the way the creators made this shit, bro? Well, why should the tried and true fans who grew up knowing something the way it was introduced, like, go against that? Why do they have to change? Why do they have to get over it? Like why? Like, and I'm not talking about something serious.
Agree to disagree.
I think we're pretty much there,
because we need to make haste on this topic and move on to the next, because we're going on 50 minutes on this one.
We're good, bro. The next topic kind of covers. See, we're cool with each other. The next one kind of relates to this anyway. I was going to get in with you guys about hardcore and like casual fans, which we kind of covered already though. I mean, unless you wanted to get into what you feel like someone who is literally like toxic.
Hold on. Let's get final words from each of you on the topic.
Sure.
And then we'll move on, because it was a good topic.
I'm not trying to be hostile about it, but this is actually something that just isn't going to change. Like, this isn't like most of our topics where we come on here and we come to a consensus and then we move on, because it might change, it might not. Like, current events always change. Yeah, shit might get better or worse, but this is something that's only going to honestly get worse, in my opinion. Maybe better in yours, Corn, because they're going to keep on changing shit just to change it.
It's not necessarily I'm not the number one guy rooting for race change. I'm not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not saying I'm not outraged of it either. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, why the fuck did they do that? Like, with the MJ thing, I was like, okay, that's weird. But even you were like, oh my God, like, for years, this is years ago when they even announced it. They said, hey guys, there's going to be a black MJ. And then still when it comes out, like, come on, man.
I wasn't doing all that.
Like,
it's just pointless, bro.
Because you even proved my point again earlier when I literally asked you. I said, dude, that movie made $1 billion. Did anyone ever, over $1 billion, did anyone ever go see that movie to go see MJ? And you said no, because everyone got used to it on the first one.
They did.
So that proves the point that nobody's really once you go to the movie and you go see it, nobody's really paying attention to it. Everybody stopped talking about MJ being black. Pretty much after the first one was pretty much done and over with, and all the hype for that was.
Yeah, okay.
Then the big story, and then number two was that MJ
You're cutting out, bro.
could be Nick Fury's daughter, which I'm glad they didn't do that.
Damn, I didn't hear any of that. What I was gonna say was MJ changing her race, whatever. At this point, it's old news, and you're right. People stop caring about it because it's old news. Doing it in the first place is what stirs it up, and yeah, people are gonna get over it when it's old. Obviously, I got over it when it's old. I don't go to bed every night cursing these damn changes to my characters.
Yeah, no, but you're also not coming to an understanding of what Corn's saying either. Like,
no, I get it, but he's got a different opinion than me, so I can't really fully agree with him.
All
So,
right,
I'm
not saying to fully agree. I'm saying come to an understanding because you said yeah, of course people will get over it, but you're not actually over it. And you said you were.
I accept it, but I don't have to like it. Like, just
Well,
that's what Corn's saying then.
Okay. Well, I guess we do agree then, to a certain extent. There was one more point I had, but I think I got lost in the sauce on this one.
So final word. Hold on.
Why else I gotta go ahead?
Final words from Corn. Go ahead.
No, that's pretty much my final words. Was that hey, they're gonna race swap. Like it's not that big.
Yeah, I have something else.
Pay attention. If you don't pay attention to the topic, and if you enjoy something like Spider-Man and like I do with Batman, like it's gonna be okay. Like I can go and I can watch the movie and still enjoy it, or not enjoy it because of the storyline.
Okay.
That's what I always say, because of you, of all people, creative writer, you of all people should appreciate storyline. I know I do.
Dude, I fucking do. I'm not saying I don't enjoy a good story. You know I do. How about this, Corn? We didn't even touch this. You don't like. You're fine with the race swapping, but you don't like when they sex swap characters. You've told me that. You've told me that before. You don't like that, right? Or now has your opinion changed?
A little bit. Like,
okay.
Give me an example of a movie that I said that about.
Dude, we talked about some tonight. Changing Thor for one.
I said that I disagreed about.
Okay. They changed that villain in Ant-Man from a man to a woman. They changed tons of characters from men to women. If I have to go back and talk about everyone, I mean, I want to find a good example here, but you and I have literally talked about characters changing from men to women. Okay, there's one example, but okay, what if they, like, Batwoman's a different character, but what if that replaced Batman? What if they literally changed the character forever?
The only thing that I can think of to where I ever said anything like that was when I got mad that I thought that one villain that wasn't really a villain in Han Solo, in that Solo movie, turned out to be a chick. But that's because the entire time I thought it was a dude. That's a little bit different, but
okay. Well, I guess we're just.
I was trying to look up a couple like gender swaps in movies.
Corn, you have definitely told me before that you don't appreciate when they literally change a character just to change it. Okay. Here's one. Here's one. No, you're gonna listen to this one. They made Black Mask gay. Listen, Corn. Listen.
Yeah.
They made Black Mask, your favorite Batman villain, gay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? You told me what you think about it.
But they said flamboyantly gay, and you can see it. And you can see in the previews, he's very, very flamboyantly gay. I think it takes away from the movie. Is why it.
How's that?
Swapping
what about Ghostbusters? Remember?
Oh, there we go. There's one. Pointlessly.
They gender swapped Ghostbusters.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Ocean's 8, where they did the all chick version of Oceans.
There you go. Pandering. It's the same shit.
But from what I read, at least I don't know about what was it? What was the first one you just said? Not Ocean's 8, but the one before.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that was just a shit storyline. From what I read,
that's what some diehard Ghostbusters like coworkers I had said too.
It wasn't because of the female shit. And I don't know about the Ocean's 8 thing. The one that was a remake too, where it was like all women. I don't know. Apparently that movie was good, but I have no idea. That's just off of like one review that I read from that movie. But
still, and the point, my point stands is that changing it just to pander is just pointless. It's gonna sell. It's gonna stir people up. But at the end of the day, I just don't see the point in it. But that's just me. That's just me and a bunch of other fans. But whatever. I mean, we agree, disagree, and I do not understand why they would just change someone's sexual orientation, a character, for no reason either. Because Black Mass for example, who ever even cared? You know, the fact that you make it part of his personality now is stupid.
That's what I'm saying. When you race swap somebody, like, you shouldn't care. Like Fantastic Four, I actually enjoyed the remake of Fantastic Four that they did. But Michael B. Jordan was and with him being Human Torch, it didn't take away from his character at all. Like, it was, he still had that brother-sister bond with Sue. It was still I thought it was amazing action. Like, the whole movie was amazing. Not once was I thinking, oh my God, we have a black so-and-so, you know? I didn't give a shit about that. If you could give me a black Bruce Banner, or a Hispanic Bruce Banner, or an Asian Bruce Banner, or, you know, Canadian Bruce Banner. No, I'm just kidding. But it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, give me whatever race, whatever color Bruce Banner you want to give me, as long as we get the story of Bruce Banner and it gets told cool. And it's basically a good storyline. I'm not gonna say, oh my God, fuck Black Bruce Banner. Don't push shit.
Okay, man. I mean, I know your opinion's, you know, solid as a rock, and I respect that. But mine is too in this case. And changing a character for just the sake of changing it, I'm never gonna sit well with. And I'm not gonna harp on it because I've harped already. But yeah, dude, that's just how I feel. It's how you feel. I get it, and it's good to have a passionate topic like this that we can both, you know, go head to head on. Because yeah, that's what the podcast is all about. You know, being passionate about what we're talking about. So
yeah, bro. Well, I think that concludes that topic. That horse has been beaten to the smithereens.
About to say. I mean,
destroyed.
It's no different than any other topic we've ever had.
Oh, don't give me that now, Adam. I know better. You and Corn got heated.
How long was that? That didn't even feel that long.
Well, gosh, we started 10 minutes before 8.
About an hour.
About an hour. Yeah.
I mean, that's
I believe about an hour.
It didn't feel like shit because I was enjoying it every minute.
That's fine.
All right, guys. Jaron and Clint, y'all got this next topic, right?
Well, I mean, shoot. I mean, I'm gonna. I mean.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll bring it up, sure. So, so basically, there's this convention that men have for men called the 21 convention, and basically, you go out to Vegas or wherever they're having it at. You pay anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a ticket. You spend 3 days and 3 nights there, and it's a seminar. It's basically a self-improvement seminar for men by men, how they can be better in business, how they can be better with women, how they can be with other people, how they can find within themselves what they actually want out of life, and then project that onto the world and get what they want out of life, right? Yeah. So there's so the creators, 21 Studios, are coming out with another convention called the 22 Convention. And what this 22 Convention is, and the slogan for the convention is "Make Women Great Again."
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
So basically, what this is a convention for women by men. It's got a bit of the same agenda. It's a bit of it's really a self-improvement for women. And it raises the question, women have been told to be more masculine in society nowadays. Like, is that really benefiting them? It's not even really, is it benefiting men? Is it benefiting them themselves as women? When I like this, because this was an argument that I raised a few casts ago. I can't remember which one, but it's basically saying that feminism doesn't. I made the argument that feminism doesn't benefit women. Oh, it was the ladies podcast.
Yeah.
But every lady said that every lady should be a feminist. But they had great examples of, in my opinion, of what they thought feminist was, which, you know, isn't necessarily what is being portrayed as in the media.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So I really just wanted to hear Clint's like thoughts on Clint's and everybody else's thoughts on the convention, and like, do you think that, you know, first off, I'm curious to see how many women actually sign up for this.
Seriously,
I hope a shit ton, because that would really bring hope to to humanity if women are willing to go and hear from men about for what.
One thing is that a lot of people are treating that as a joke from what I read about. Not saying that's good or bad, but I read up on who's actually paying attention to this, and the comments were just shredding it. We're just making fun of it. And so I don't
that should be common, because that's the government. That's the narrative. They want to destroy masculinity. But if you look at masculinity and you look at the patriarchy they claim, well, that's Western civilization.
Yeah.
And it just goes hand in hand with what Jaron's been saying all along. The proof's in the pudding. And I'm going to spearhead this, but I mean, that's a very good point you brought up, you know, Adam, is of course they're going to deny it. Of course they're going to make fun of it. Can you believe these silly guys? Oh, don't they have anything better to do with their time?
Yeah.
Completely covering over and protecting feminism, which is one of the main tools that the federal government's using right now to destroy Western civilization. Because when men are succeeding and doing well, our society will succeed and do well. But anyway, to go into,
and I would even say deeper than that, if there are men are doing well and they're leading the young men, families will do even better.
Exactly. So to go ahead and spear this, you know, for your question, then I'll jump right in. So, you know, exercise and nutrition, male and female relationships, self-actualization, and individualism. You know, I just read it off of the 21 Convention's website, which will be indicative of the 22, on top of making women great again. Mm-hmm. All those things are really good for anyone, but I think it's particularly important for men, because there's so many things that are women only, like The View on TV, things like that. There's so many things on modern television specifically for women to bolster women, but you don't really see anything to bolster men.
Yeah, also in society, there's always a lot, like, even like, sorry to interrupt, but there's a lot of like hospital, like this type of center for women, this here for women, this here for, like, there's a lot of that in society too, in which I find ironic that a lot of these institutions, these women-only institutions and these women-only, you know, specific things have been around for so long, yet women seem to think that they've been, you know, oppressed this entire time.
Right, which is a complete lie.
And again, I've said this a million times, but women and men are different in the roles that we play in society. We are the same as people, but at the end of the day, women have their strengths and men have their strengths. Women have their weaknesses and men have their weaknesses.
Right.
Universally, doesn't matter race or any of that shit.
Right. So anyway, to get into the question, so the big elephant in the room here, in my opinion, for what's been going on, I would say dates back into the 1960s. And what are we going to start to look at here? It's going to be the leaving of the nuclear family from the 1950s. 1960s, we all know it. We may not have it pop into our head, so I'll give it to us. Sexual revolution. Sexual revolution is when condoms and birth control really started to be mainstream. Contraceptives. Well, what did that allow? It changed the dynamic for women. They no longer needed to properly vet men, because now they could have premarital sex and not get pregnant. The state, as in the state and local federal government, there was absolutely no protection for women you were on your own if you're a single mom, and that almost ensured death. That was bad. You would have to be with your family. You would be black labeled. Men would view you, as a harlot, a slut, which now is a proud thing. They have walks for those things publicly in the streets to promote that type of behavior. And now society, to start to bring it all together, society is really showering women with all this praise and attention that they're the best things ever created, that men have to be pining for you, that if a man is not economically attractive, don't waste your time on him. He's just a waste. He can't give you what you want. He can't give you the resources, the life you want, that high life that you're entitled to, bear in mind. And whenever you do that, it creates an unhealthy vanity in the woman. Now, to start to bring it together with feminism, feminism is the biggest lie ever told to women, because there's something that we all know. Yeah, the wall. The wall does not care about anything man-made.
I want to bring up the wall later on, because I saw a video.
We ain't talking the Great Wall
today, and I want to ask you about it, Clint.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Because the wall is undefeated. Okay, so just let that sink in. And see, a lot of women and feminists don't like that because they're mad at God, because that's how they were designed. But so be it. They can't help it. I mean, it is what it's going to be. So I'm going to tie this in now. So this is what feminism does. And essentially what's happening to the westernized man in England and the United States is men are becoming neutered. They're becoming cucks and simps. Weak, soy boys. Any masculine behavior is frowned upon. Oh, that's toxic. Ooh, that's too masculine. That's bad. That's not good for the group. We need to do something. We need to put these little boys on Ritalin and ADHD medications because they have all this energy. But that's how boys are. That's how we develop when we're young. We have all that energy. So we've created this state that neutralizes the man and masculinity and bolsters women. And we can all attest to this personally, and we can see it. We can take off our shoes. We can look at both hands and look at all the marriages and who's ruling in those marriages.
Yeah.
Who's ruling it? It's the women.
Yeah, we talked about that. That's true.
And that's very unhealthy, because honestly and biblically, just as Jaron said, they have different roles, but they should be ruling together. But that's not the case. Exactly. The woman has developed a domineering attitude over the husband and over the man. So we hear these phrases such as happy life, happy wife.
Yeah, happy wife, happy life.
What's hers is hers, and what is mine is hers. That's
oh shit.
That is all. It should never be that way. It's an equal partnership in a marriage.
That's what we talked about the prenups that one time you were on.
We are. We're going to get to that.
Well,
I got to do the umbrella of everything. But anyway, to go back to the wall, because this is where it's going to start to build, and this is how the lies of feminism accumulate.
How the wall is built.
Women are taught, and the men go along with it because they've been neutered. You need to go out and get an education. Well, this is not an issue for men or women, but you need to make sure you're going out to get a college degree that's going to have an ROI, so you can justify going anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 to $100,000 to $120,000 in student loan debt to get a job that you're most likely not going to get, because the market's oversaturated already with college degrees and bachelors. That you're having an incredible. Did you know 40% of bachelor's holders are overemployed, working jobs that don't need a bachelor's degree?
Yeah, I can. I'm an example. I'm an example of that.
And then they have that debt, and they wonder why they can't pay it off for 10 to 15 years, unless they really put a lot of money towards it. So women, 67% of women hold the student loan debt in America.
I didn't know that.
They hold a majority of it because it's a majority of women going to college. And that's fine. So we think about it. You graduate 18, 24, 25, you've got a bachelor's. But that's not it. That's not all. Feminism's like, no. Now you need to build a career. Now you need to adopt masculine qualities. You need to be competitive, domineering. You need to be somewhat masculine. You need to negotiate. You need to be overbearing. And then you need to dedicate 10 to 15 years to climb that corporate ladder as high as you can, or start a business, or as many as you can.
Yep.
And quite a few do this, but what are they faced with? When they develop these masculine qualities, a majority of them have a very difficult time cutting those off when they come home and from personal relationships. And they become domineering. They compete with their men. And it's so unnatural for us that we don't like it. And that's why there's like 80 or 98 to 99% of relationships fail.
Oh, yeah.
So in these relationships, these girls and women are sleeping around, which happens. It's human nature. But what science has told us, apart from what I taught y'all last time about how a man's DNA gets into their brains and stuff like that, and
I remember that. That was a while ago. Yeah.
They can. Another really deadly thing happens. As much as 3 sexual partners, a woman loses her ability to pair bond. And pair bonding is the natural experience that a woman has through biological hormones of connecting. She releases hormones to connect and be paired to her mate, on top of the spiritual, on top of the relationship work that you probably should do to maintain a relationship and a marriage. She loses the ability to pair bond, and she gains this promiscuous behavior. She's always looking for another man and develops an unhealthy lust towards other men. That's why the saying is out there, you can't make a hoe into a housewife. That's been around since what? I don't know, 50s, 60s.
Since the dinosaur
for a while.
Do it.
Since the Stegosaurus is running.
So what we're getting is an unhealthy appetite that these women are developing. So, you know, the divorce rate is nearly 70% because you only see the divorce rate at the first 5 years. It's 50%. At the 10-year mark, it's nearly 70% divorce rate. As we all know, per the vows, until death do us part, the goal is lifetime. Well, the longer you go in a marriage, the over a 50% chance, that which is not a really good bet, that you're going to get divorced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let that sink in. So this is what's happening to these women: is the single mom epidemic is insane across the world, and that puts a heavy toll on society. And the government, the state, has to step in to take care of them. And then their sexual marketplace value drops to like 1, 2, or 3. As before, in their youth, the best thing a woman can give a man is her youth. And when she gives that to feminism and to a career, she loses her sexual marketplace value, and alpha men, strong men, do not want them because they're all used up. So then they start getting into their mid-30s and 40s. They have to start freezing their eggs. They're going to start selling you the most beautiful bouquet of flowers. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. I've college degrees. I've got all these student loans and debts. I've been ran through like a Mullen tunnel.
Trying to get back in the game with that. Yeah. It's never going to be like what it was. Yeah.
And a lot of women, and I'm glad for this 22 convention, a lot of women are trading femininity for feminism.
Yeah.
And they're not liking the results. And what happens? It's too late once you're there. When your eggs at 40, when you're essentially done and you can't bear healthy offspring, and you don't have a mate, so you're going to have to forever
beat the shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's split meal. Yeah. It's mush. It's done.
Corned beef.
Because they've been ran through. They've been
just fucking around.
They've been turned by everybody.
That's right.
And this is the sad realization within the last 20 some odd years or longer that women have been coming to. And this is feminism.
You said corned beef. I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
I know you guys heard me. I'm just messing around.
This was going to be kept in adult conversation.
That was messing around.
See that Hormel label of the corned beef on that can?
Hey, but that's the sad truth, though, of the matter.
I'm never gonna keep that shit ever again. Thanks.
So, but anyhow, so just to wrap this part up so that y'all can get in on this, feminism's the biggest lie that's ever been told to women. And it's sad because a lot of women aren't even appealing anymore because they're marketing themselves to everybody. They're wearing the most revealing clothes.
I'll agree to
You
that.
can just see it in their eyes. They've got the 1,000-cock stare,
Jeez.
you know, because they've been ran through so much. And no man ever gets turned on about how many partners she's had. No man gets turned on that she's got more
funny though? You know what's funny about
degrees
that?
than a thermometer.
What's funny about that? Women are attracted to men with experience. Men are
That's
attracted
right.
to women without experience.
That's right.
So if a guy has a belt with a lot of notches, the women all want him.
That's right.
Well,
But it's the exact opposite.
That's natural, though.
Yeah.
That's
But
how.
anyway,
that's how
y'all
they
enter
work.
in. I've given my spiel.
I'm just saying that like women love players, but the opposite is true for women. Like men don't want a woman with a lot of experience, you know?
Yeah, and I'm saying that stems from nature, where men go out and have multiple partners. They spread their seed, as it's called, and women are not supposed, or basically, according to nature, don't do that. I'm not going to say that they're supposed to or not supposed to, but according to nature, that's not typically what the female species of whatever does, whether it's human, whatever.
At this point, it is what it is. But I mean, yeah, when you get down to, I guess, nature and biology, where we're programmed to want what we want, and yeah, these days everything's flipped around on its head, like Clint's talking about. I mean,
I have a curious question for you guys.
Yeah.
Would you ever marry someone who doesn't want kids?
Anymore, bro? I don't know anymore, honestly.
I don't know if I'd get married. Period, man.
I don't know.
That's something I fight with every fucking day.
All right.
I'll give you all a story here in a minute.
All right. Well, let's take away marriage. Would you ever settle down with someone who doesn't want to have kids?
No.
It depends on where I'm at in life, honestly.
If I also didn't want kids, then yes, because I know I have some friends who are they're married and neither one of them want kids, and they have like one of the greatest relationships I've seen. So
that's rare. That is rare because honestly,
So it
sometimes
really
kids are what holds a marriage together in some
yeah,
cases.
but that shouldn't be like that though.
Regardless,
Well,
actually, that's not. I don't know if I agree with that.
Wait. What shouldn't be like it?
Kids are the only reason that two people stay together.
Oh yeah,
that just ruins people.
Yeah.
Maybe so, but a lot of the times that's why parents stay together. Yeah, I'm not saying all the time, but
no, you're right. But I mean, it's not good. It's not like a good thing.
Well, let me run this to you all real quick. So, and I know we can all attest to this because y'all are my brothers, and we don't have to get into specifics.
Oh.
But just the nearly 70% that don't get a divorce, do you think that other, that don't, the ones that do not get divorced, the remaining, do you actually think those are happy marriages?
Some. I think
Very
some.
little. Very little.
It's getting harder these days, bro. It's getting harder these days.
The ones that stay together go through pure hell. A lot of them. I've looked in the church.
Social media.
My family until my father passed, they were put through the ringer in their marriages, and it was more pain than pleasure.
Yeah,
bro, it's harder now than ever because now we got social media to compete with, where all these eyes are on you. You really just have to accept it and just honestly, man, marriage these days. So I've seen a ton of marriages that people that I even know that I can tell they're not happy.
Yeah,
it's just like it's just a ticking time bomb at this point.
And then just to piggyback off of that, I was at work. I saw this lovely older couple in their 60s laughing, having a good time, and I assumed, I'm like, y'all are such a happy married couple. And the man stops and he says, "Well, son," he's like, "we're so happy because we're not married." And the story gets better. Then one of my female managers comes through and she's like, "Well, I'm divorced." And I'm just like, you know what? like this is becoming the overwhelming majority is divorced people.
It's really unfortunate, man.
It
really
is.
Marriage used to be a beautiful thing.
It used to be a beautiful thing.
Because like we're the future of, you know, the future, right? So you would think
so.
that we should want to settle down with a woman, have kids, and you know, continue our seed. That's what I guess we should want to do. But because of like everything that goes on nowadays with you know, like Clint's been saying, with women and with marriage and divorce rates and out of wedlock shit, and then women not being cooperative, and then men being too pussy to call them out on it, and then just it's just like
men being beta about it's not helping anything either. You know, just accepting cuckery is just as bad.
Right.
Well, you could argue that the whole reason that this is even happening is because men have been beta about it.
Right.
Fair.
That's right.
There's no strong men left in society to put this bullshit to the side, right?
Right. That's exactly right.
There's not a majority of masculine men to stand up against the shit. All the masculine men are tied up in the gun shit right now. They're not even really worried about the gender stuff, unless you're like a dating coach or something like that.
Yeah.
A pickup artist.
You know, and that brings me back to, you know, what you were saying, Jaron, is that westernized civilization has been built upon men building it. So how do you destroy the society? How do you destroy our governments and these democracies and stuff like that and free enterprise? As you destroy the men.
Yeah. Yep, that's how you destabilize nations, other than, you know, bombing the fuck out of them.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's what we're, you know, that's what we're looking at now.
And that's not because men are quote unquote better than women. That's because that's the role that men play in life.
Exactly.
we need a woman to do what a woman does. That allows everything to be better. If everybody does what the fuck we're meant to do.
And there's so much obviously that women can do, but one thing which, in my opinion, and this is not sexist and this is not going against women, but it's so obvious, but women produce babies.
Yeah.
I mean, true. Can't deny that.
And when they don't want to do that anymore, and they know, and see, a lot of women, you know, think about this. A majority of women, if they were together, if one woman were to say, you know what, I'm not too worried about college, I'm not too worried about a career, I just want to be a really good mother, a majority of women would make fun of her, put her down, and be like, oh, honey, there's so much more to life than that. But there's nothing more noble than being a good mother, because that, you know, that's society. That's producing good, you know, households, strong families. But most women don't want that anymore. And then once they've been fed the lie of feminism and they go down that track and they eat it so much, they're so happy, they're grinning from ear to ear, they could eat a banana sideways.
That's pretty sad.
And they get to, you know, age 40, divorced, or they never, you know, found anyone serious, and they went through all the repercussions, and there's going to be no one there for them. Then what?
Jeez.
You know, I'll go on. Yeah.
Good.
Well, I was just going to end on this note, just for this point, is that, you know, the founder of Sex and the City was a grade A feminist, and there was an article about her that said she actually made a fatal mistake, that she didn't have kids in her younger years.
Fatal.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. There's a lot of women who end up regretting that.
They regret it.
So
I've seen numerous. Oh, go ahead.
So Adam, your answer was you don't know yet because you haven't gotten there or something like that, right? About being with a woman who doesn't want to have kids, settling down with someone who doesn't want to have kids.
I mean, at this point in my life, I would like to eventually. So currently, I probably am not about it. But I don't know where I'm going to say in 10 years or something. So.
And Clint, you said no. Jaron, you said no. Right?
I'm gonna have to kind of sound like Adam a little bit and just be like, at my current point in time, I could settle with somebody who doesn't want kids, but that would, I don't know how do I put this? There would have to be a lot of variables. There'd be a lot of things in line for that to be be a thing. But as far as getting, so you were saying your question was it just settling with some like being like exclusive with somebody?
Because you said something about
the marriage, yeah.
So that's why I said settling down. If you don't want to get married, I guess settling down with somebody for 15, 20 years.
And you don't want to have kids. I mean, I could see myself doing something like that. I really could. It would just have I'm saying everything would have to line up though. But I could also see myself having kids. But knowing what I know about the world, I don't necessarily know if these are just the internal debates I have about this shit like every single especially as motherfuckers getting older and shit now.
Yeah, I know for a fact I'm not ready for kids yet, but that's more on a personal note. But yeah, like as far as the future holds, I'd be down at some point. But again, that's more on a me note than if the woman wants it at this point.
Yeah.
So
if I didn't know what I know about the world, I would say 100% yeah, I will have kids. But knowing what I know, I don't necessarily know if I want to even do that.
Bring him to this world, like, yep, that's how I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And know what I know not only about society, but about women and about like just everything, man. Like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then the other caveat, with it is if a woman loses in divorce court, it's 50% custody, overwhelmingly so. They get a majority of the custody. Some states, if you've been married, like California, for over 10 years, you have to pay lifelong alimony to the woman.
Yeah.
Right.
No fault divorce is one of the most evil things ever invented by the marital industrial complex, which has turned into a business. Did you know divorce is a business?
Damn.
It's a massive multi-million-dollar business.
Oh yeah.
Attorneys looking out, prodding divorces. And see, this is the thing. One thing I will tell y'all: if you ever do get married, which is obviously fine. I would strongly recommend don't ever marrying a woman that's already been divorced, because as much as 80% or more of divorces are initiated by the woman, and she already knows how to ring that dial, and it'd be very easy for her to do it to you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And but that's all I'm going to say about just that specific thing. It's just that the man really gets the short end of the stick when it comes to marriage if things go bad. And as we already know, statistically, they do very much so.
Right. Yeah.
And as I was saying earlier,
human nature, man, especially
right.
These days.
And the biggest selling point for me that's really made me re-examine marriage is that just the 67%, the remaining that do make it, a majority of those are not happy marriages. And that's not being pessimistic. That's the truth.
Yeah. A lot of people just settle and give up.
Yeah. And this is what's led me to another point too on personal development, is that time that you dedicate to dating and courting women, whatever you need to do with that, a lot of that time could be set aside for your own personal development.
Oh man, right. And the money too.
Right. And the money and the time, because you can always make more money, but you can never get more time.
Yeah. That's what I'm experiencing.
A majority of these, and this isn't anything against women, but a majority of these girls, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And you could be out building yourself, building your empire, your legacy. Getting one step closer to your dreams instead of chasing something that's futile, that's fleeting.
I got a good quote for you. I'm not sure where I read this. A man with many women will run out of money. A man with a lot of money will not run out of women.
That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm. I read that somewhere, and I'm like, damn, that's real.
Yeah, very good point.
So a man who focuses on his career and goals and gets them stacks built up we'll never have to worry about women again. So there you go.
And if there's one thing the listeners need to take away from this entire podcast, is exactly what Clint just said. Is especially to the listeners that are in their 20s like we are, like the women will eventually come. Like don't don't stress yourself over this bullshit. Like get your shit done first, and then focus.
And if you find like a special connection with somebody, I'm not gonna hold true to that quote. Like that's how I feel. I just think that's a very good quote. But no, there's examples of people finding their like a really good connection, and they're out there. And I've been guilty of not really guilty, but I have found a few myself. Didn't work out, whatever. But I'm not saying this that you're not going to find somebody you really click with. And that's awesome if you do, because it's very possible.
I mean, that's the story of my life is right chick, wrong time.
Yeah, there you go. There are some fucking awesome women out there. And I've met some awesome women out there, but I'm just saying, like, we're talking about the broad spectrum here. So yeah, take that for what you will.
Yeah. I mean,
oh yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say, and if you work on focus on making you the best you that you can, that'll be a better space to then invite in a woman, and she will then in turn be more feminine because you're giving that you're providing that proper energy and that proper presence for her to then act on her natural proper self.
Yeah, feminine
because
nature.
If you're fleety and all over the place as a man, a woman's not going to want to deal with you at all.
Right. And just to go more over to what Jaron's saying, is at a minimum, you should be able to live on your own comfortably. Because you want to be able to have your bills in alignment, virtually no debt if that's feasible for you. You really want to be doing something that, at the very least, if you don't love it, can provide a good living, or you're doing something that brings in more than enough money and that you can live just fine. Because if you do get married, you do have to take into account, you want to be able to live if you have to pay at least half or a quarter of your money to her in alimony too.
Without a prenup, though.
Yeah, that's true if you do a prenup. But I mean, and then one thing too that I want to equip the audience and us with too, like, as you all know, I'm a devout Christian, so I went on and did a little research of some qualities you should look at in a woman if you start getting serious. What's her natural inclination, like her nature? Well, for one, she should treat you with care. She should treat you with respect. She should be noble and graceful. And there's many ways of going into this. She should provide companionship. And most importantly of all, she should respect your leadership. Because in the biblical sense, the man is the leader. And well, how does he lead? Well, for one, he goes to God and he submits to God and gets the direction from God. And then the wife should be receptive to that. But if you don't believe in that, you should be able to lead and knowing the direction you want to see the relationship. And another important topic to talk about is being single. That's frowned upon in our society, and it shouldn't be.
I don't think being single is frowned upon. I think being single is actually promoted. I feel like, in my experience, I've seen too many people in the rat race jumping from relationship to relationship instead of. I would say because we know a lot of motherfuckers who pretty much have just done that. Yeah, and that's my point with that. I'm not trying to refute what you're saying, Jaron. I'm just saying, like, if you're single right now and you're listening to us, that is a tremendous blessing. Okay, because one, your time is your time. Your money is your money. You can go out with whom you want, anytime you want. You don't have to tell anyone what you're doing. And it really is a nice thing. There is something to be said that you wake up in the morning and it's peace and quiet. Hopefully, peace and quiet. You can't put a price on that. And when you're single, you can divert as much time as necessary to going after your dreams. But then with that, you have to be self-disciplined and focused.
and you have to be working on your goals, and you have to know what your goals are and that they're clearly defined, and you're moving towards those.
Yeah, bro.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, relationships are wonderful. I mean, I'm sure a majority of us have been in love before, and it's really wonderful. And, you know, relationships are clearly needed. Healthy ones are clearly needed because that's what's going to allow the world to go around for us to exist. And we're just bringing a lot of these topics up for the listeners and for you all, is that, you know, just be aware. And if we've said anything that upsets you, don't be upset. Don't get emotional about it. Just throw it away. But if we say something you like, put it in your toolbox and use it for later.
I mean, you guys
put it in the comment section.
Yeah, I was about to say, you guys can comment whatever you want. I love all the comments, negative, positive.
Yeah,
whatever you guys
do what you got to
say.
do. But at the end of the day, we're all here for you all and for ourselves to get together and just have a good time. But just be aware. You know, just know the dangers.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, anybody have any other topics? Or?
I don't think so, man. I think we pretty much covered everything.
Nobody had any wild cards to throw in?
Corny wild cards, you use a wild card, man.
No.
You just got something else in your back pocket on deck or something like that?
No, I this episode, I relied purely on you all to come up with everything.
That's like me most of the time.
That's true.
Corn played Adam this episode.
That's funny.
Corn's going to be playing Adam for a few episodes.
Okay, so let me bring something up.
All right.
So there's a sector. Well, there's a movement starting on YouTube, and particularly the Black sector YouTube. But I'm not going to harp on that. I'm just going to create the scenario. So there's something being I guess thrown around called SYSBM, which is Save Yourself Black Men. And what this basically means is like people. So Black guys who don't have that stereotypical Black guy vibe and energy and vernacular and all that. People are getting mad at them for dating outside of their race or dating anything other than Black women, basically. So this movement SYSBM has started and has created a whole lot of backlash. And I was curious what you all thought of that, if anything. Like does
is it backlash?
Is it valid to? First off, is it saving yourself if you're going where you're wanted, as far as a race, religion, etc.? Is that something that you should be frowned upon for, or should you stick with quote unquote your own because that's what you should do because you are this?
Nah, man, I don't.
I think you're more of a human being at the end of the day than more.
I agree.
Race, you know?
I agree.
You shouldn't be seen as a mass. You should be seen as a single unit. But so many people, you know how sheep think works, and sheep talk. You know, everybody, when you start getting that hive mind, you know, masses driving others to do what they will, then you start having people just brainwashed for life. So I definitely prefer like you go your own way and date who you want. Like what's the problem? Like I feel you though. I feel that there's always going to be some shitty movement or some shitty group that wants people to just do what they've always done. Yeah, that's not how people are.
I just think it's funny that like all of a sudden now this is blowing up because this is shit that, like, I mean, maybe I don't know if you guys have had any issues with like white people being upset at you dating people from another race, but I know Corn and I have grown up have had issues with people of our own race, A, not even accepting us, and B, you know, throwing dirty looks and wherever else because you're with somebody else of another race. I just think it's funny that this is becoming a topic now when it's been happening to us pretty much our entire lives.
Yeah, it's a shame you guys had to go through that, but I've never had to deal with anything like that. At least that I remember. The times I dated girls who weren't white, I never really noticed any kind of backlash. But that's just
I was just curious because I mean, at the end of the day, racism is racism. Like you can be a black racist, you can be a white racist.
Racist come in all colors. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one thing that I've learned, like throughout my dating life is dating different races has added to my humanity, because I've dated an Indian girl, I've dated black girls, I've dated white girls, I dated a Mexican girl, and you experience
Move it along, bro.
I know. I just need to date. All I need to do now is date like an Asian girl, and
Well, it's
then
gotta
some
flex.
other races too. That'd be good.
So I'm out here
But-
flexing on the viewers.
Well, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say though, like they're all different cultures.
Yeah.
They all have different perceptions of reality, and it's nice to be a part of that. When their families take you in, they teach you their outlooks, their way of life, their music. That intertwines into your being, and it makes you a more whole person.
Yeah.
And then you get to start to develop what it is that you like in a woman.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
You know what I love about Clint though? In every single one of those relationships where he dated like somebody, he always comes and says, "Oh, dude, let me tell you." Like he'll date like a black chick, he'll be like, "Oh man, there's nothing like a black chick."
It's always like brand new.
He'll tell you everything about the culture. He'll tell you everything. He'll tell you everything. And then his next girlfriend, Mexican chick. Oh man, the Mexican. Oh, let me tell you something. There's nothing like a good Mexican girl. It tells you all culture and everything else, and like it just like that's what I love about you, Clint. Like you're not afraid. You're not afraid to dip into the cultures, man. That's one thing I could say that you're not afraid of doing is just dipping right into like a totally different culture, which is amazing to see.
Thanks, man. Well, it really is. I mean, and it all comes in time, and it happens differently, for everybody, and it usually just falls into place, and you just allow things to, fall into place with who you meet, because love is blind at the end of the day, and it really doesn't see your creed or your religion or your background. It's only limited if you decide to limit love,
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair.
Yeah, because I can say from like a very early age, it was just really weird because when I started getting the whole like, oh, you're not really black type shit when I was a kid, was actually really started when I wanted to get like skateboard, like when I wanted to get a skateboard. So I finally got a skateboard, went to a skate park. There were other black kids skating, so that's where I didn't really get the whole thing, but whatever. Was like that, stuff like that. I think that's like really when it started, was like 5th grade, 6th grade area. Especially when we got to like middle school, when we got to Shelburne, and it was just like super duper like cliques. Like elementary school we had like our groups, but everybody pretty much still intermingled with each other. Middle school was just everybody just separated.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
And for someone like me, it was very challenging for me to actually find real friends, because everyone had friends from elementary school, but you get to Shelburne and, we know how that goes. They act like they don't know you. So then, so trying to find, like I was athletic, or I was at least in sports. We kind of all were. Like we were in sports, but I didn't fit in with the jocks, but the jocks per se. I was nerdy, but I still couldn't really fit in with the nerds. So it was super hard for me to find actual true friends, So I didn't really find like, an established like group of friends until literally freshman year. So even then, you're still, but you're at the same time, I was still fighting stereotypes as being a young black kid,
But I mean, like, but you was hanging out with me and James and Amanda and all them in middle school and shit, right? Like Julian, all the fucking like, you was hanging out with all of us.
I wasn't a part of that group.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Jared, you're way more popular than us. Like I remember, I had a really shitty group of friends in middle school that I would like stick with, and then more and more I found out, man, these guys are pieces of shit. As the truth comes out after a while, you realize you're being treated bad. So like that's my own experience.
I hated Julian's guts. Like we hated me and Julian.
I remember that guy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you hated him. Yeah.
But anyways,
but R.I.P. Julian. But
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. He died.
Yeah, shout him out, whatever. But anyways,
right now. This dude's hot.
Oh gosh.
Controversy.
Oh, shit. We were controversial enough early on. Now we're really getting into
it. Anyways, but then I get to freshman year, and then I start getting into, which I was already getting into dating in middle school, but and that was really, especially being a black kid, like my dad didn't care, but my mom was from from South, so my mom was really like traditional when it comes to dating and stuff like that, right? And so you see a huge, vast difference, especially from what Jaron was explaining, a huge, vast difference with our generation and a generation, kind of a little bit the generation before us. But I go as far as to say maybe two generations before us, where it kind of like, that was like the last generation of traditional anything, like traditional everything.
Yeah,
and then like
Clint was saying, like 50s and 60s. Yeah, that whole.
Yeah. And then like my mom's generation came, and then it was just like, hey, what the fuck is tradition? Which is kind of makes us amazing as a generation too, and as humanity. Period. People like us that we kind of date around and stuff like that, and we're not solely focused on trying to find the love of our life, the very first person. Like, you just want to see what's out there.
right.
And me being somebody who was like, okay, well, me growing up in a black community, pretty much somewhat, would depend like where I went, where my parents lived and stuff like that, is pretty much the black community.
Yeah.
Growing up in a black community, I was trying to date other black, to date black women, to date black girls, whatever.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't happening. And I've had most of them told me to my face, it's your personality. Like, you're not black, dude,
Well, there we go. We got stereotypes coming in. Stereotypes dictate who you want to.
Yeah, so I did exactly what I did when it came to, hey, I don't have any real fucking friends. By the time I get to hospital, I'm like, holy shit. So I did the exact same thing that I did when I was a freshman in high school, which was, okay, I'm going to go outside my comfort zone and go out and look and see what's out there. And it turned out, the way my mom hoped it would, but
yeah.
Date outside of my race and still do.
Yeah, bro, nothing wrong with that, man. You got to do what you feel makes you feel the most like yourself.
Yeah,
man, that's the way we all should be built. Like we're at this point where we need to just wake up from the brainwashing past that we may or may not have had, or just stop being hive-minded. Not to say anybody in this group is, but like maybe people listening. If you ever feel like you're just a worker ant, if you're stuck in the rat race, like, or something like that, which, I mean, I'm guilty of being stuck in the rat race job-wise. But like, if you feel like you're just still in a spot where you don't belong, you just got to branch out. You got to keep trying. You got to keep working on yourself, which is what we mentioned that when we were talking about the whole not settling down right now, not spending money and time on stuff that might not be crucial to your development. Just you do it in stride, because like, we're all getting older, but I mean, nobody's dead yet, so it's never too late.
Right. And there really is truly a recipe to ensure like unhappiness. And how you go about achieving that is trying to make everyone around you happy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Very true.
So at the end of the day, it's you. What do you want? Don't do anything that's going to stop someone else from doing what they want to do.
Right.
But go out there and get what's yours, because no one can get your good, but it's only going to happen if you go out and get it.
That's right.
So you just got to make it happen. That's the thing. You got to put in the work. And just like Ray Lewis said, wonderful linebacker, for the Baltimore Ravens, success is comprised of nothing more than like little victories, doing the most basic things correctly equal success later on down the line, and no matter what it could be, if you want to be a fighter or a wrestler, it's about practicing your stances, hitting the gym, your nutrition, your sleep, making sure that you can get the optimum performance out of your body, and many other things. But it's the basics. For me, public speaking, I got to practice it. I got to work on vocab. I got to understand structure. I got to understand the English language, grammar, getting out there and speaking, filling my mind with the content so it's there.
Right. True that, bro.
You know, and you can go into it for many things. If you're an artist or a musician, you got to work on your scales. You got to do different strumming patterns. You got to create your own music. You got to play with other musicians. There's no substitute for doing the work.
No, not at all.
And that's everything.
That's everything.
It's chicks, it's marriage, it's relationships, it's
Yeah,
you know, and everything else that Clint mentioned. You know,
just be intentional. You know,
yeah.
You're going to have your family and you're going to have your friends that care for you, but at the end of the day, a majority of people aren't going to care about you.
No,
Slowly, our government is making a way for people that they can live off of the government, but don't do that. What you really ought to do is be self-sufficient.
Absolutely.
And take pride in that.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't think much else needs to be said on that.
That's a fine finale. Yeah, guys, always a pleasure. Great having you back, Clint. You know, you're always welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, bro, you're our honorary fourth member. I always say that because it's true. Yeah, man, welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody. This is the Contemporary Comrades.
Well, I want to make a plug real quick for the Fast podcast.
Yeah.
We had Jaren on last week, so make sure you guys go to YouTube. And
that shit was fire, by the way. Y'all check that.
It was a good one. I listened to that. It was very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure you guys go to YouTube, like, subscribe, listen to the or watch the channel, and yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll be back next time.
Next time. Next time we'll be back.
The Contemporary Comrades. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Hey.